Hello geometry students, and welcome to the continuing series of videos on angles and some just basic ideas about angles. Now we are going to talk about different pairs of angles. Two angles, or yes, pairs, or even more than pairs. So two angles are complementary if the sum of their measures is 90 degrees. So that's like saying if I have two angles, A and angle B, and one of them is 40 degrees and one of them is 50. These numbers don't really matter as long as they add up to 90. So we can say that angle A and angle B are complementary. Okay, again, just means they add up to 90 degrees. They may or may not be touching. They don't need to be touching to be complementary. Next, two angles are supplementary if the sum of their measures is 180 degrees. So say again, if I have two different angles, let's call them D and F. Okay, angles D and F, and one of them is 120 degrees and the other is 60. And again, these numbers don't really matter as long as they add up to 180. Then we can say that angle D and angle F are supplementary. Okay. So two basic words, supplementary and complementary. The thing that often trips people up is which one is 90 and which one is 180. And the way I usually remember it is complementary comes first in the alphabet and 90 comes before 180 on the number line. That's how I typically used to memorize it. You can think of your other ideas to do this as well. Okay. All right, let's keep going here. Adjacent angles are two angles that share a common vertex and a side, but have no common interior points. So this is basically saying, this is another way of saying two angles that are touching. It's sort of like saying that. Let me draw an example here and then we can discuss. So in this case, we have a bunch of different angles, but we could say that, let's look at angle ABC. ABC. And again, we have to use three different letters for this. Two letters, one vertex alone will not suffice. So here is angle ABC, right? So you can see that it has, and if you look at angle CBD, you see that the two of them, so CBD is this one. I'm going to use kind of a blue highlight here, right? So we can say that ABC and angle CBD are adjacent because they share ray BC. So BC is sort of the ray here that's a part of ABC, and it's also part of CBD. And you can you look at this picture, maybe for you to work it out, try to think of some other, two other angles in here that are also adjacent. But they basically means that they have a common side here that's being shared between the two of them. Next, two adjacent angles are a linear pair if their non-common sides are opposite rays. So let's think about it this way. Let's say you have an angle. Okay? So I have angle ABC there, and it has to be adjacent to another angle, and their non-common sides form an opposite ray. So I'm going to make an opposite ray with BC, and I'll just kind of go overkill and fill it in extra color here. So now we could say that angle ABC and angle ABD form a linear pair. Okay. So they have to be adjacent, and they have to form, basically their non-common sides have to form a straight line. So one other thing that we can conclude from here is that if you notice here, this straight line, this straight path here is a straight angle. It's a line, so it's going to form. It's going to be 180 degrees. So these two angles are always supplementary. Okay. So linear pairs are supplementary. Now the reverse of that might not always be true. Something that's supplementary may or may not form a linear pair. And one more vocabulary term for these two sections. Two angles are vertical angles if their sides form two pairs of opposite rays. So I think of vertical angles, I think of some type of an X. So you have one line here and you have another line here. Okay. And I'll just put some points. So in this case, there's a couple sets of vertical angles if their sides form two pairs of opposite rays. So we can look at this and see angle ACB and angle C and angle DCE. So I sort of highlighted everything, but ACB is this part right here. Maybe I can highlight the other part using a different marker here so we could actually see a little bit better. And angle DCE. Okay? So those two form vertical angles. So this one that I highlighted in yellow and the one I highlighted in red, those are vertical angles. Okay. Because if you look at this, if I kind of just cover up part of the picture, you can see that there's one pair of opposite ray there, and then if I cover up the other side, there's another pair there that forms opposite rays. Now, there's actually one more pair of vertical angles, and I'm not going to draw it and highlight it because it's going to be too complicated, but I'll just point it out. ACD, that's this angle out here, and BCE, that's this angle out here. Those are also vertical angles. ACD, so that's like this one right here, and BCE, that's this one over here. So whenever you have two lines that form this sort of X shape, there's going to be two different sets of vertical angles. One that's sort of top and bottom, and another set that's kind of like left and right. Now the picture might be tilted here and there, so left and bottom, left and right isn't always going to make sense, but at least it's one way that you could think about them. Well, there's these first two videos are some basic vocabulary on angles. As always, if you have any questions on this, you can ask your teacher in class. There's a couple more videos on this lesson. Make sure you watch them, or whatever it is that your teacher assigned you to do. Thank you for watching, and have a wonderful day.